Hi friends, welcome back. I am very excited for today's video and I'm going to start this one in a very strange way, giving you an update. I normally don't do this. Hi, welcome. We're going to go watch Violent Night tonight, but I have to say I have been in some violence myself. In case you see me waving around my arm, which I normally do when I talk, I have been in an incident, and if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know about it, but unfortunately I was attacked on Sunday night by an off-leash dog while protecting my dog. My dog is fine. I know a lot of you know my dog and see my dog in my videos. Gromit is fine because I got attacked instead. So I have been home all week on painkillers and it has not been a good time. So that all aside, I'm fine. I'm 100% fine, hopefully. Still going back to the hospital in and out. Anyway, we'll leave that. If you do want to follow me on Instagram, I share a lot more of stuff like that. But I just wanted to clear that up because it might get in the shot, but I'll try and spare you. Tonight, we're going to go see Violent Night. I'm really excited because I'm excited to get out of the house. I'm excited to go sit in a comfy cinema seat and just enjoy a popcorn horror, which this will be. The interesting thing about Violent Night is I think we're seeing a lot of Santas go psycho. And in this one, I believe Santa is the good guy. The movie is an action comedy crime horror, and it is directed by the same guy who did The Trip, Whatever Happened to Monday, Dead Snow 1 and 2, which are fantastic if you haven't checked them out, and Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters. So I do have high hopes. And of course, the film stars David Harbour as Santa Claus himself. And I've seen some other familiar faces on the cast list. The plot says when a group of mercenaries attack the estate of a wealthy family, Santa Claus must step in and save the day and Christmas. So let's go check this out. I'm going to the premiere tonight. I am super excited. I think this is going to be a fun, relaxing, I don't know, is it relaxing? But you know, just a fun, gory, only a horror fan would say relaxing and gory in the same sentence, but just a fun popcorn movie, not taken seriously, hopefully quite funny. And I want to see Santa do right because we only see him as a bad character or like Krampus or something like that, you know? There's a lot of Christmas horror movies coming out in December and I'm excited to add this to the bill of good Christmas horror because as much as we talk about Christmas horror, it's only a handful that are actually really, really good. And Krampus is one of them. Krampus, I know a lot of people talk shit about Krampus, but I love Krampus. Anyway, let's go see Violent Night and I'll let you know whether it's worth your time and you should check it out this Christmas season. Let's go. Hi friends! I just got out of watching Violent Night and it was violent, alright. I am really surprised by this film actually. It was not the vibe I thought it would be. It was actually really different. So the movie does have a very interesting magical element to it that happens right out the gate. I'll leave it for you to discover, but it kind of put a spin on things and really caught me off guard. But the interesting thing about this film is it is about Santa, who goes and saves this family who are being held hostage by these people trying to rob them. And it is a weird mix of extremely wholesome and extremely violent. And it's such a weird mix because the extremely violent I guess more gore aspect and crude aspect, language-wise and all that, really cuts out of the equation this being a family movie that has different kinds of catering, like, you know, Die Hard, sure, it's an action, and it is a Christmas movie, but it doesn't feel too much for children. I don't know, like children of a certain age, I should say. But this movie is definitely not for kids under 18, but it has this extremely wholesome factor to it that feels childlike. And it's almost like it's for the inner child of adults watching it, because honestly, there's so many aspects in this that is so brutal and yeah, extreme language, vulgar, but then just the brutality of it all. It is not for kids, but then it's like the wholesomeness like really offsets it, and it's a very interesting juxtaposition, one that I wasn't expecting. But beyond that, what I found more interesting was the pacing of the film. I thought, okay, Violent Night, I've seen a lot of these kinds of like Christmas movies. I've like done streams on them before. I've spoken about them with like 12 Days of Christmas, all that kind of stuff that I've done on my channel, which usually feature, you know, 90 minutes packed of violent action scenes, or like kind of like Dead Snow from this same director. That is a lot of packed action. I have not seen it in a couple of years, but I know it's a lot of packed action. But this film really takes a while to get into it, and it comes in like these waves and in sections where it will have this insane action sequence, and then it will die down and there'll be a whole drama and this plot development, which is, we love. But it was just a interesting tie-in, because I really thought it was going to be action-packed the whole way through, and it's not. The characters and the setup in this one kind of do remind me of Krampus in a strange way. It's just over the top and silly and very obvious, you know, kind of what they're angling at. It's very heavy-handed, but not in a social commentary kind of way, just in the spirit of Christmas. So I do think it will be widely accepted. And then comes the things I love the most about the film. I really enjoyed the fact it had a full-on homage to Home Alone. Home Alone is one of my favorite movies, and they name it before they try and do anything that is kind of copycat, which I think that's great. They give it credit, and what it does, it will really surprise you. It shocked me in gruesome ways. The kills, I was like, yeah at the start, but I honestly, if you watch the start of this and you're like, I don't know what she was talking about, just keep watching, because it just gets more and more surprising and more shocking, and it really does feel like, oh, maybe this could be a family movie. Then you're like, absolutely not. The next moment, this wholesome thing happens and you're like, oh, maybe, and then something else happens, you're like, absolutely not. So it was really jerking me in all directions, and I do like that. I like something that's incredibly niche and just for a target audience and goes all the way through, and I really feel like that. This is such an interesting horror movie, and I'm sure people are going to question whether it's horror or not, but you know, the director, this is his kind of film. He does a lot of stuff that is based in, like, I wouldn't say realism, but you know, based on, I guess, tales and stuff we all know, like Hansel and Gretel, and what he's done with Dead Snow, which is about Nazi zombies. So it's very much his style of horror, which is more action and reality based, but again, there is like an interesting twist to this one. And in saying that, we get some weird lore in this film, and it is important to point out that the director is Norwegian as well, and he definitely takes the lore all the way there. Very interesting and just surprising, and I really liked that. I thought I was going to get this kind of, not carbon copy, but exactly what you think when you see this poster. I thought we were going to get that movie, but it's a little bit softer and a little bit more detailed than that. Yeah, it definitely had like another layer to it, which I really enjoyed. I love when I get surprised by movies like this. Above all of that, even though it is kind of a superficial film, even if it does have some detail, it's kind of like a superficial classic horror Christmas movie. What took it to the next level for me, really polished it, because it looks fantastic, but what really polished it for me was the sound design. The music, it's like, it does the same thing that Home Alone does, which I really love. You know, really making these Christmas carols epic in the background as these sound beds, just full on Hollywood scores, and it was just, I don't know, it felt like theatrical and epic, and I just really enjoyed that whole aspect of it. It just gives it such a polished layer, and it was just such a joy to see a movie like this in cinema. I can't remember the last time I saw a new Christmas movie in the cinema, so really enjoyed how it all came together, and seeing it on the big screen, especially with the beautiful background music. I think David Harbour did amazing in his role in this film, though for me it is really hard to see him as anyone else but Hopper. I'm slowly breaking through, and it's really nice to see him doing other kinds of films. I've never seen Santa quite like this in a movie. It was a very interesting portrayal, and I think he did it like spot on. Usually, you know, like films like Bad Santa, Santa's got an edge to him. But in this film, it kind of like towed this strange line, again, of this wholesomeness, but totally crude. And it was just enough to kind of like go in the middle. I found the film to be hilarious, even though a lot of it was slapstick comedy. I did laugh out loud a couple of times. I feel like they catered, even though it is a very niche audience or adult audience, they really catered to several different comedy styles within that, and I did appreciate that, especially coming from a lot of the family characters, which you'll see, like there's this whole like rich family kind of setup. So some of it was like a little bit over the top, or characters we've seen time and time again, but they still got me a couple of times with some good laughs, and there were people laughing the whole time in the cinema, so there was a lot of cheap laughs, I would say, but they still packed a punch for the big ones. And the gore will just get you alone. If you're a gore fiend, you'll love this film, because honestly, there's some things in here you just don't expect, and it's just a fun little bloody surprise. I do recommend seeing Violent Night at the cinema, just because when do you get to see a new horror movie that is a Christmas movie at the cinemas? Usually this film wouldn't be my kind of thing. I'm not really into actions, but it really won me over with some of the stylized choices and its uniqueness. But I am going to give it a 7 out of 10 just because this is a personal score. I think for the film grade alone, I do think it's a new Christmas classic for horror, but in the same breath, there are far and few between Christmas classics for horror. I would say there's like about 6 or 7 that are really, I know a lot of you will probably like, are you kidding me? But seriously, name 7 horror movies that are actually decent about Christmas. There's only a couple that are really up the top, and I would put this one up there, but all in all, not really my kind of choice, but a very good popcorn film at that. A very solid one, and one I would totally recommend to people who watch this channel. For originality, though, I am going to give it an 8. I thought it was really well done and very surprising, as I keep saying. And for scare, gore-wise is like an 8. I'm going to say it. It's a very gory film. Not scary, but gore-wise. I know I split the scores sometimes with the gore and the scare. I don't think it's very scary. It's kind of funny. It's meant to be silly. Obviously, you're rooting for the good guys, not the bad guys. But it's not really like terrifying. It's just disgusting in the most fantastic way. So run out and go see Violent Night, or you'll be on the naughty list. I'm so sorry. Anyway, hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for being here. Do not worry, make sure you subscribe, because what's coming to VOD for December is coming up very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. And I will see you then. Stay safe and stay spooky. Bye, friends.